Okay, any public comment on items not on the agenda? Hearing none. Matt Jennings.
Juanita, I think I can help with this one.
Great.
This is a request for a special prosecutor for a justice court case in Missoula County.
Can you elaborate ever so slightly?
Sure. On occasion, when our office can't handle a case, we ask the commissioners to appoint someone from another county to act as a special prosecutor to prosecute that particular case, and we were doing that in this particular situation.
Okay, I would move that we adopt the resolution.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thanks, Anna. Do we have anyone here from Sheriff's Department? Oh, Conway, sorry.
Hi. Do you guys have the MOU in front of you there that we're asking to be signed?
Yep, go for it.
Yes.
So basically, this is a long-standing MOU that we've had for a long time. The gist of it is there's a grant that the Missoula City Police Department applies for and has traditionally received. We, as cohorts in that grant, get a portion of it, only $12,000, that we use towards paying the payroll on our half of the payroll for our property clerk at the warehouse. And so we'd ask that you guys sign the MOU to continue being able to do that again this year.
Sounds reasonable. I'd move that we approve the MOU.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Nancy.
All righty. Well, good morning, commissioners. What you have before you is agenda item number 3, and what it is, as you know, the Historical Museum at Fort Missoula will be submitting a federal application. We're hoping to go in tomorrow for total project cost of $799,100 for the rehabilitation and restoration of 2 barracks from World War II for the Alien Detention Center. So, as with federal grants, you know, lots and lots of components. These are 3 required forms: SF 424, SF LLL, and there's an SF 424D. What these are, it's a standard application where there's just straightforward information, plus assurances that there's no extra special lobbying going on, as well as assurances having to do with construction. Now, I'm not sure, I did notice in the packet that the SF 424D, which is the assurances for the construction, it didn't show up correctly on the packet, and I just, it's 2 pages of 20 assurances that will do everything above board having to do with a construction project.
So what needs to happen with the packet?
So those are 3 forms that you need to sign. So that's what the motion is that the acting chair sign these 3 forms. And I think you have those in the packet, except maybe, I don't know, it's up to Annie. Do you know if the SF 424D, the construction assurances, came through?
I'll have to look. Everything that you sent is in there, if that answers that question.
It is, and I mean, that it says that it's in and completed 424D, but
okay, good. I just, sometimes it's a weird PDF viewer situation that particular one.
Oh, actually, yep, it says please wait, ellipsis.
Yeah.
Your PDF viewer may not be available, so
okay. I'll send that form. It's a fillable PDF, and sometimes things get kind of wonky when they're getting uploaded, so I'll just resend that. As I said, it's a 2-page, it's a standard 2-page, 20 assurances that will do everything correctly for construction.
Okay. We have confidence you will do things correctly. So I would move that we.
I know, we should ask Matt.
I move that we authorize the acting chair to sign the forms listed.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Here.
It looks like we have a task order, but I'm waiting to see who is the presenter, and it's not showing up on my computer.
Lisa.
It's Lisa
Okay.
Piskevich.
Thanks, Lisa.
Good morning, commissioners. I am here to present, this is an amendment to our chronic disease prevention health programs contract. And so under that comes our tobacco program, worksite wellness program, DPP, which is diabetes prevention program, and Connect. And there's also, those live at the health department. And then we have the non-cancer screening and cancer screening programs at Partnership Health Center. And so this is an amendment to our contract, our annual contract that lists a few things. One is to build in a 0.25 position, or we already have a Connect position, but create a sustainability plan for Connect for 0.25 hours, expand outreach for our DPP program, and reduce our worksite wellness outreach from 3 businesses to 2 businesses. Because we lost funding in that area. And then it lists the contract increases about $7,000, and a lot of those funds go to DPP. So it's just kind of cleaning up the contract with Department of Public Health and Human Services, and those are the deliverables, and that's where we're at.
But there's no impact with this increase of 7,900.
Mm-mm.
Right?
No,
it's
no.
just cleaning up.
It's cleaning up. It'll match the deliverables. And the only ones that shifted were the ones that I highlighted to you and are listed in the amendment themselves and underlined in particular.
Okay.
So there's a lot of words. So it's not highlighted, it's underlined.
Thanks, Lisa. I would move that we approve or authorize acting chair to sign the task order.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you and congratulations, Juanita.
Thank you.
Glad to have you. Okay.
Glad to be here. Kayla.
Hi, good morning. For item 5, I have a professional service agreement that I request the board to approve. It's with Missoula Community Access Television, or MCAT, and this is just to continue to support their operational activities to provide equipment to record and distribute and archive the Missoula County meetings.
And I would say hopefully at some point we will be able to increase this amount if things go well with our franchise agreement and get them to do even more work, good work for the community. So I would move that we approve the PSA.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Have they moved over to the library?
When last time I talked to them, they were just finalizing their move. So I think they're officially in there right now. So
Great.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Eric Dixon.
Oh, yes, good morning. So this is a professional services agreement for our annual supply of liquid de-icer. Dustbusters out of Billings was the low bidder for the statewide contract and has agreed to offer us the same bid prices. So as a result of a public solicitation, we can piggyback on their bid. And since that was through a public process, we would recommend that the agreement be executed.
This is all the de-icer for the entire season, $55,000?
Yes. Yeah, last year we were just under 50,000. I think we're around 48,000. So we try to be conservative with it.
Great, thanks. I would
Great.
move that we approve the PSA.
Second. That seems efficient. I thought it would have been a lot more. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Oh, all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
sorry. Number 7, Terry Kendrick. Or Dave Wall.
Hey, Juan, I'm here. Terry is really the subject matter expert. I can tell you about the procurement process that this went through. We put out an RFP for consulting for a to get fiduciary risk management won that RFP for a benefit option steering committee consultant. So if Terry is around, maybe she can tell you more about what that means.
Yes, I was, I didn't realize I was talking to myself. I was muted. So, you know, I don't know how many Zoom meetings it takes before you figure that out. So the Missoula Benefit Options Project was funded by the Montana Healthcare Foundation. And the goal of the project is to ensure that Missoula residents have affordable, accessible, quality healthcare when they need it. And the target population is individuals who don't qualify for federal subsidies and or whose insurance is too expensive if they have to cover a spouse or family member. And then also small business owners who would like to provide a health benefit to their employees but can't afford to pay for insurance coverage in full. And this is a project of Commissioner Slotnick, and he's not here today. So I worked as staff on that project. We formed a steering committee of people with expertise in insurance, business owners, community members. We conducted research on different possible options and developed a menu of some ideas. And then it really became clear that we needed to contract with a person who had significant knowledge and experience working with either insurance or like healthcare pools or whatever those options might be. And so the woman Corey Zaveda from FRM responded to the request for qualifications, and the steering committee approved that contract, but we need the county commissioners to sign it because it's the money is held at the county. So it doesn't require any additional funds. It's still the funds that exist in the Montana Healthcare Grant. It's just to approve her contract.
Great, thanks, Terry. And as tempting as it is to deny this, to teach Josh a lesson for not being in the office this week, I will move that we approve the PSA.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And so Terry, when will the kind of suite of options be presented?
We are hoping by the end of the year, although we did get an extension from the Montana Healthcare Foundation just because of, you know, in the spring, everything slowed down a bit. So, but hoping to have something by the end of December.
Wow, exciting. Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Erin.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. Sorry, I was just on another Teams call, so I'm like having to switch my brain a little bit. So I have 2 items on the agenda today, and I think Carrie O'Clair might be on as well. And I don't know if we have anybody from partnership about the partnership item. Oh, I see Carrie. So the first item, though, is to request the board approve professional service agreement with Western Montana Mental Health Center to provide $37,260 of funding from the County Tribal Matching Grant to support the Bridge program, which provides transitional hotel vouchers for targeted FUSE individuals. And FUSE is the Frequent Utilizer Systems Engagement program that the city and partnership and the county have been working on. So, and Western Montana now too. So we, due to a variety of factors, of which COVID was a big one, we have additional county tribal matching grant funds that are currently unspent. And so I've been looking for needs that are still in the community and have been reaching out to various stakeholders about that. So there will probably be more ideas coming forward, but Western Montana Mental Health Center, they have said that they will, that this is a funding need that they've seen in the community. And I don't know if Carrie wants to talk a little bit more about the program itself.
Hi, thanks for having me. And yeah, I'm just going to piggyback on what Erin said. And so when the county tribal matching grants came out, we had an abundance of money that we couldn't spend, which I'm in the same position in Ravalli County, which is a really weird place to be, that I can't spend money that's there. But we've identified a need. The state offers a Goal 189 fund, and this Goal 189 fund is set for folks who are coming out of the state hospital or are in dire need of maybe going to the state hospital, and if we can prevent it, we will. And so these funds have been used to house some folks in Missoula. Our coordinator works really close with the county attorney's office to identify folks to try to keep them out of the state hospital, and housing sometimes is one of those main factors. So if we can utilize what we were going to utilize for CIT in the county tribal matching grant to kind of shift it over to get some stabilization for folks on a short-term basis in housing, to work with them for longer-term solutions. It doesn't take long to stabilize and move them on to longer-term solutions, but we identified these funds might be available to help with that.
So this bridge program, how long are folks kind of temporarily housed in hotels, or how long can a person use it?
It's for up to 6 months, Juanita. And so I think the goal is that it's considered transitional, and the coordinator is working to get them into more of a permanent supportive housing. And so some of the people that she's been working with are actually going to be in Cornerstone, which is a new project with Montana Housing Authority. You know, they might end up in the new Trinity project once that's built. But yeah, so they can get hotel rooms for up to 6 months.
But so, and this can go towards helping people like right now, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, because Trinity is not for a few more years. I mean, so yeah, so we can so the coordinator has been working with some folks already, and I think she has been getting them into other current facilities, and Carrie might know more exactly about which, but sometimes it does take a while because there are waiting lists. So got it.
Yeah, sounds like a good use of these funds. I would move that we approve the PSA.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Did Dave aye?
I did aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye. Jen.
So the next PSA I have is.
Sorry, Erin.
Nope, I got one more.
Yep.
The next is to request the board to approve a professional services agreement with Partnership Health Center. And this is to help fund a 0.5 FTE SOAR specialist with $23,722 of support from the County Tribal Matching Grant. And my understanding of this position is that they already have a 0.5 FTE medical legal partnership person, and that this will extend that into a full-time position. And are you familiar with what SOAR stands for?
Please describe it.
Okay, yeah. I pulled it up on my computer so I could tell you, because I can never remember what the acronym means. But it's, and of course now it doesn't have, SSI, SSDI, Outreach, Access, and Recovery. And SSI, SSDI is, supplemental security income, Social Security, disability insurance. And so it's for people who have, basically the SOAR program fast tracks, helps people navigate and can help fast track people to get SSI, SSDI, which can help provide them funding to get things like housing and so on, because the process can take months sometimes for people to go through, and they don't know what paperwork they need to provide. They don't know, you know, all the different ins and outs of kind of the bureaucracy that these SOAR coordinators are trained to navigate through. And it looks like Terry is here as well from Partnership, and I don't know if there's anything that you want to add to that.
You know, Erin, you did a really great job of describing that, but you're right. So we have a person who is our medical legal partnership person at 0.5, and that she would then be 0.5 to help folks with this SOAR, with these application processes, that they are really complicated, and a lot of people who may really deserve these benefits may not get them just because the application process is so hard. And so we have really wanted someone for a long time to be able to help folks through the SOAR program. And I also want to say that I'm just going to back up and say that Partnership is really supportive of the Bridge program that you just allocated funding for. So the Fuse person will be really happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Okay, well, that sounds like yet another good investment of funding. So I would move that we approve. Let's see here. How do I get this right? Another PSA. I guess I'd move that we approve the PSA.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Thanks you both so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, have a good day.
You too. Okay, Jen.
Hi, good morning. I'm here with item number 10, and I am here to request the board approve and the chair sign the DPHHS task order for the Missoula City County Health Department to continue our foster child health program. This program ensures that the basic medical needs of children entering foster care are being met, and that those caring for them understand those needs.
Did we do this? What happened last week or 2 weeks ago with foster care?
So this, I'm guessing Nancy Rattel presented on that. Is that what you're referencing?
Foster care medical, yeah.
Okay, so some of the funding for this program, the state provides a $90 per child per month stipend for the program, which nearly does not cover the cost of the program at all. And so Nancy, I think, presented you our application for the Community Assistance Fund. So between this funds from the state and with the CAF funds helps make this position happen, this program happen.
Thank you for explaining.
Yep.
Thanks, Jen. I would move that we authorize the acting chair to sign the task order.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kristen.
Good morning. I am coming back to you guys regarding some new mobile crisis contracts. So the original mobile crisis contract went to the fire department, and they were going to do a third-party agreement with Partnerships Health Center to provide the mental health piece. Upon further review, it became critical and necessary for Partnerships Health to have a separate contract with the county to ensure that they have better liability insurance and an ability to bill at an enhanced amount, excuse me. So what's happened is we have amended the original fire contract for the mobile crisis team. So we pulled out the scope of services specific to the fire department and the budget amount. And so there's an amendment to the original contract for that. And we've created a new contract for Partnerships Health Center with the county, and we've refined and defined the scope of services related to how they're going to participate in the mobile crisis contract. So the overall project scope has not changed. The overall responsibility and services rendered are not going to change, and the budget amount hasn't changed. It's just that we've had to do a separate contract with PHC and amend the existing contract. And so I'm coming to ask your approval for the amendment and the new contract with Partnerships Health.
Great.
Makes sense.
Okay.
What'd you say, Dave?
I said so moved to amend the contract and approve the new contract.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
So is it up and running?
It will be after this. We
Okay.
had some insurance issues related to getting the new contracts up and running, so it's kind of been waiting for some paperwork. And after this, we should be able to have it. I think the plan is to have it up and running now next week. So
Great.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Yeah.
So yeah. Jenny Daniel.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So this is again about the Vicarious Trauma Response Initiative that I talked about a few weeks ago. And this is just a different process than I've gone through prior. Usually we do a lot of this information prior to when we apply, but this time they want all this information after they've given us money. So it's around contracts, and what it is through the IACP, there's a subrecipient profile and an FFTA form. And these forms are, they're just wanting to know what Missoula County is like as an agency and whether we're to be trusted to be given money. So I'm asking for the chair to be able to sign the two documents.
Jenny, for folks who do not know, would you mind describing what the Vicarious Trauma Response Initiative is?
Sure. So we are one of 12 sites in the nation that are getting benefits of technical assistance providers and working with the other 11 sites to figure out how we can work better within our organizations on vicarious trauma. So it's really a multidisciplinary response, and instead of saying that the individual has the responsibility to do self-care, it's really in the organizations. We're all looking within our organizations.
And the definition of vicarious trauma?
Well, that is when you're listening to trauma yourself, so like law enforcement advocates, CPS workers, prosecutors, when they're hearing these stories, it affects us personally. And so the goal would be that, and it causes burnout, it causes a lot of trauma for the worker. And so this is an attempt to mitigate harm to the worker through organizations, having the organizations responsible to do that. Am I making sense?
Yep, that's perfect.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks.
I would move that we authorize the acting chair to sign the grant documents.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
You.
Thank you.
Cindy Kennedy.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. So I have item number 13 on the agenda, and I'd like to request that the board approve and authorize Commissioner Slotnick to sign the amended Montana Department of Commerce Community Development Block Grant Contract, I won't read the number, to support the Missoula County Housing Rehabilitation Project. This is a specific project that's estimated to cost around $56,000. About $50,000 of that covers the cost of the construction, the rehabilitation, permitting, housing counseling for the client. And then the other $5,000 will come to what is administrative costs that will split with Human Resource Council and Missoula County to cover our administrative costs. So we received this CDBG housing rehab grant back in 2015. And every time we have a client that meets all of the requirements, all of the eligibility requirements, jumps through all the hoops, and proposes a project that's eligible, we will have to go through the process of getting it approved by the state, and then the state will issue an amended contract. So every time we have one of these projects, we will have to amend a contract. The interesting thing about this program is there's no set dollar amount. So we can just keep spending money until I guess they run out, or until our contract runs out, which our contract was due to run out at the end of this calendar year, and we were able to get it extended for one more year. This particular project, can tell you what it involves, just a second here. So this is a house, a homeowner in the New Meadows neighborhood. They need some mold remediation in their basement. They've had some flooding issues and they have mold and they need to get that fixed. This project basically covers health and safety needs of homeowners. And so that's definitely a safety issue. We're going to patch and pave their driveway, install egress windows, install handrails for basement steps, install smoke alarms in bedrooms, French drain that'll hopefully eliminate or mitigate future floods.
Is Jim on the line for this?
Yes, Jim is here.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jim. Anything you want to add to this? And maybe also, I would love to have a refresher on how folks become aware of this as an opportunity and how you make a selection of who would be the recipient of such funding.
Right now, we're using a first come, first served basis. We've done advertising, as Cindy mentioned. The project actually took a lot longer than most of us thought to really get implemented. So we've been advertising, and then also we've been administering the first-time home buyer assistance program. And we actually started calling some of those folks who have had those loans. And those folks often, because of their income, aren't able to keep up with maintenance and repair. Again, we don't do any cosmetic. It has to, as Cindy said, be health and safety or preserving the structure. So that's the primary focus. Also, as she said, it is a little bit difficult because we can't do any more than one project at a time. That's the Department of Commerce term. So we put people on a waiting list, and then we have to completely close out what they call the project. They don't give us a set amount of money. So we do one at a time, and don't get all of the proper documents to them, then we can't start another project. So it is a little bit of a cumbersome way to do it, but it's still helping a lot of folks. We can also do septic, we can do wells, we can do a whole lot of activities outside the city of Missoula.
How many folks does a program help a year, or is that not a fair question because it changes from year to year? I mean, we've been doing this since 2015.
This is our first project.
Oh.
So we spent, like Jim said, it's taken a while. We spent a long time getting our ducks in a row. And negotiating with the state, and negotiating contracts, and negotiating policies and procedures, figuring out the procurement. It just took a long time. And here it is, our contract is supposed to expire in December next month. And so we finally are in a position where we can move forward. So hopefully we're thinking we can do one per quarter, but we would love to be able to do more. And as Jim said, we can only do one at a time. So it depends on the scope of the project. And, I would imagine this one might take a little while, especially with winter coming. But, some projects might be smaller and we might be able to do more.
The other thing that holds it up is that the project requires at least 2 quotes for the cost of the particular item that's being done, and it's been very difficult for the trades, the homeowners, actually get any kind of quote because the trades are just slammed, and some of them really don't have the time to do small jobs. It seems kind of odd, but they're just struggling to keep up. So that's the other thing that limits it, is that sometimes it'll take weeks for the contractor to get out there and get everything completed just because they have such a backlog themselves.
Something just to put out there, Jim or Cindy, give some thought to if Missoula County could play a role in engaging Department of Commerce on ways in which this process could become less cumbersome or unwieldy going forward, and that is a role that perhaps we could play.
Yes,
absolutely.
Clearly, there's a community need, and while this is absolutely going to help a homeowner one by one, that's a huge mountain to climb here. So anything we can do to help.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We definitely, I think that once we get our sea legs under us, we'll be in a better position, and maybe we can reapply and be able to hit the ground running. after we get all of these issues worked through, and I feel like we're in a good place for that. So just real quickly, this contract should be coming from the state. If it's not in Josh's inbox yet, it should be soon. It's specifically going to require Josh's signature, and I understand he's not here this week, so I'm hoping that he'll be able to sign it as soon as he gets in the office next week, so we can get this rolling, because we can't start until we get that contract signed.
Okay. I would move that we authorize Commissioner Slotnick to sign the amended contract.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you. It's good to see you, Jim.
Thanks.
Lori Francis to sign amendments.
Hi, Commissioners. I don't think Lori was able to join us today, so I think you've got me. So as you know, the Commissioners authorized Partnership Health Center to sign most of their contracts with the exception of employment agreements. So what you have before you is a list of the employment agreements that they would like to modify with no changes to the terms of those employment agreements. They're still under contract except for increasing the salary by a certain amount. And again, they do their own specific salary survey to keep their folks in line with that. Works out to be about a 2% increase. This is inside Partnership's budget. So this would authorize Lori to sign just the amendment to those contracts that will allow the increase in salary for this 1 year. Again, any other changes to the employment contracts would still come back to the commission. So this is a one-time request for authorization for Lori to do that rather than bring these, I think there's about 15 of them, contracts through separately.
Okay, I will, for expediency, I've got a UPS man at the door here. I'm multitasking. I would move that we sign the amendments.
Authorize Lori to sign the amendments? Yes. Second. Yes. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. CSBG Community Action Plan. Is that you, Chris? Oh, no, sorry, Jim.
Yes. I'm here to request a letter of support for our CARES Act Community Services Block Grant. And I think you were provided with what's called a contract plan and a budget. The forms are provided by the Department of Public Health and Human Services, and the contract plan actually goes through in several pages detailing that the funding will be used throughout our operation. The funds can be used to support, excuse me, a number of different activities, and so we, if you will, backfill some of the contracts and make sure that they're actually able to provide more service. The amount is awarded to the 3 counties in our service territory, Missoula, Mineral Valley counties.
Jim, how does this differ from, if at all, from past years?
This is a special appropriation. We, through the CARES Act that was appropriated in March, and it actually provided additional dollars to a number of different services and programs. For instance, we also got additional money for Emergency Solutions Grant, which deals with folks who are homeless or in danger of becoming homeless. So this is an addition to our regular allocation.
Yeah, I guess more so what I was getting at was whether this is building upon and expanding program areas that you've already played a role in, or whether this is addressing completely new needs within the community.
You know, we do a prioritization, a community needs assessment every 2 to 3 years, and it's been fairly consistent with the highest priority is housing and housing related, whether that's home buyer or energy assistance or what have you. And so that pretty much details a lot of what we're going to be doing. So we already did have the Emergency Solutions Grant as an example, so we're going to build on that. We're also going to build on the case managers that we have. There are just going to be a couple more of them. So really is targeted to building upon that which we're already doing. Having said that, for instance, though, we can expand what we have been doing because the CARES Act actually waived some of the regulations that we have been operating under for some of those other programs. So it gives us a little bit more flexibility. And you'll note that the funds can be spent through September 30th of 22. So that provides a really nice planning horizon. And as some of the services drop off, we can backfill and make sure there's smooth transitions. So yeah, it's building on what we already have and expanding it, and in a much different way in some respects.
Jim, will any of these funds be able to be used to shelter or house folks who are currently unsheltered?
We are using these funds and another CARES Act. The Emergency Solutions Grant, for instance, our annual budget has been about the current CARES Act budget is close to $1 million. So that Emergency Solutions Grant does target housing, and so we consulted with the COAD group, and what we're doing is moving people who are on a coordinated entry waiting list into a bridge into the longer term housing assistance. We also are providing money for those who may be living with others but do want to get housed. And then the other big component that you all have helped with before, which is those who are about to face eviction. Now, because of the moratorium from the CDC, Emergency Solutions Grant says they have to be at risk. They're not at risk until after December 31st. So we now are processing applications for January because we're predicting that we're going to have a number of households that will have rents that are due, and on January 1st will be in danger of being evicted or that a process is being started. So the money, because it also can be used into 2022, we're assuming that in 2021 we will have that a large amount of applications for those services. The other component, as you know, with getting people into housing is very difficult because of the lack of housing. We also are using these funds with a grant that we just got for the Youth Homelessness Demonstration Project. Again, a HUD housing project for folks aged 18 to 24 who are facing homelessness or who are homeless. So the different regulations, for instance, really hamstring us. So for the YHDP, or the Youth Homeless Demonstration Project, HRC can actually rent or lease an apartment or a home and then sublease it. So we're actually doing that and working with landlords. On the Emergency Solutions or the Community Services Block Grant, we're prohibited from doing that because it's deemed to be a conflict of interest. So part of what we're doing is just bringing all of these services kind of together. You know, the safe outdoor space, you know, yesterday I was talking to United Way about how we can then bring these resources and combine them with what they already have. Similarly, why we wanted the Bridge program, which is those who are waiting for the YWCA 12-month rental assistance. I think you're the sponsor of that project. The Housing Authority's Permanent Supportive Housing. So the whole idea is trying to coordinate with everyone to make sure that we're providing, you know, longer term for housing stability. We do the coordinated entry system, and then we work with the navigators in the community, and then with all of these funds, kind of mixing and matching so that we can get people housed. And it's a daunting task given the lack of affordable housing. But, you know, they really, I want to be positive about this. The Emergency Solutions Grant, which these Community Service Block Grant funds are used with, for the first time can guarantee damage for an equivalent of 3 months rent. And for the first time, we can pay an equivalent of 3 months rent for a deposit. And we can pay long-term rent assistance. So we're out talking to landlords We've not been able to do that for some time, to have that kind of flexibility. And we're seeing some really positive response. So as we talk to the navigators in the community, or even the health equity coordinators, the FUSE people as well, as they get close in negotiating with the landlord, then they know they can call us up and we can then move and guarantee those items. So, you know, it's giving us tools we haven't had.
Can you use this for hotel, motel rooms as well, or is it has to be like standalone housing with a landlord?
For the community services block grant, we don't, but for the emergency solutions grant, we can, yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim, for that description. Sounds like some good and worthy work, and glad we have the extra resources to it. Sign.
Yes, I have it drafted and ready to go.
Okay.
Great.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
And while we're still on correspondence here, so Annie, will we also be getting via DocuSign the, even though it didn't make it to get on the agenda, the wildfire adapted Missoula letter, and then we'll just have it on a future admin agenda?
Yes, that's correct. We have the letter already. I sent it to you all for review, and I will include that in the DocuSign packet today to be signed, and we will have it noticed on the November 10th admin meeting. And I think Chet's here also if you need him to speak on it.
No, I sent back at you, Annie, a version of the letter. I found one minor typo in it, so if you could replace whatever version you had previously sent out with the one I just sent back to you, that would be great.
Oh, so maybe I don't understand how this works, because there were some like minor typos, you know, spacing, spelling, periods, that sort of thing that I was able to change on the document that I was looking at. So does it just show up? That was,
I don't think what you were looking at was just an attachment. So I think so.
Oh.
You should, if there were other typos in there, you should send that back to Annie also, I suspect.
Okay, I just assumed it changed.
I can go ahead and send you guys the last version that I have with Dave's last edits, and just let you take one more look at it to review it, and let me know if you find anything else, and we'll get it taken care of.
Okay.
I might have picked up some of the same things you did, Juanita. So.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, definitely take a look at that latest version that Annie will send one, because you may have been looking at one that hadn't either been reviewed by Dave or Annie or others. So that most recent version that Annie has sent out would be the one to take a peek at.
Okay, thank you.
And I haven't even updated one since then, so I'll send that as soon as we're done here for you guys to look at. Okay.
Thanks.
I think I'm looking at the right one. Background checks for cleaning contract.
Yep, that is me. Good morning.
Okay. Hey, Jason.
Well, I'm hoping to put this to bed finally. Again, I've said it before, a little bit of a can of worms, but I think I may have synthesized it into some final recommendations. Of course, the decision will be yours at the end of the day. And then once we make a decision here, then we can go ahead and go out for RFP. We're currently under temporary cleaning contracts and waiting for this. So I spent quite a significant amount of time talking to lots of individuals. Dave Wall was very kind and giving me his very clear and concise opinion, which I've actually struggled to get from others. So I had to kind of piece bits of information together from various sources to come up with something that I think is reasonable as far as our background check. So if you remember from a previous conversation, we are not meeting CJIS security requirements. That's the Criminal Justice Information System. Those areas that are governed by that are of course, Sheriff's Office, County Attorneys, Justice Court, RVS, 911, but they're a little different beast. And really what the regulations say, and the thing that we're most concerned about is the unescorted access in those areas. So that would be when folks are working in those areas, when there aren't necessarily staff around able to supervise, what they're doing. And of course, most of our cleaning happens after hours. So that one's pretty straightforward. Essentially what we need to do with those areas, and the sheriff agrees, Chantel's on board with this. I talked to the Justice Court judges as well, that we really do need to follow those. And really that would be a full background check by the Sheriff's Office for any individuals that would be working in those areas during non-business hours. And so what I recommend is that we would request of the cleaning company to provide us with the appropriate information for those individuals that will be working in those areas in the evenings and the weekends. And of course, the Sheriff's Office would go ahead and conduct their check on those. It's a little bit more than just a criminal history check. That'll allow us to meet the CJIS personnel security requirements for those areas. We're all good to go. For those folks that are cleaning outside of those areas, which of course is quite a lot in the building, as well as of course all of our other buildings, the things that we all agreed that were very much should be done is those financial type crimes. So this is a recommendation from Dave, and I'm in agreement with this, that we'd have a 3-year cutoff for things like theft, embezzlement, fraud, cybercrime. I think should be included in that as well, because that's related generally. If folks have committed those, they've been convicted of them, that they would be disqualified during that 3-year term from working for the county. That of course doesn't mean that those folks can't work in other contracts for the cleaning companies. It's just, it puts the county at a little bit extra risk. One thing that our Justice of the Peace folks, Judge Beal and Judge Holloway, thought would be important is looking at things around stalking and burglary. They felt that those put us at a little bit more risk if we were to have those individuals in. I recommend that we put those at a 5-year cutoff. And then the final piece is if we see somebody that has a history of multiple convictions, especially in these financial crimes, so where they have embezzled or stolen or had fraud, multiple times over a period of time, they felt that that was kind of a red flag as well, that even if they hadn't done it in the last 3 years, that might show a pattern of behavior that may continue and puts us at risk. So to sum this up, 3 years, financial crimes, theft, embezzlement, fraud, cyber crimes would disqualify you. 5 years for stalking and burglary, and then really no time limit based upon multiple long-term convictions of these fraud and embezzlement type crimes. So that's where I'm at. And of course, the final decision is yours. And
no, that sounds good. I thank you, Jason and Dave, for all the work that you've done on this. I think this helps find a sweet spot that will address our security concerns while also providing opportunities for employment for folks re-entering the community. So would this be, besides the contract that we're contemplating right now, would this be memorialized in some broader policy statement or not?
I don't know if I have a good answer for that. I mean, I'm certainly open for discussion. I think this probably opens the topic of discussion at large, for other things. I think this is the first step. I think my goal here is to put this into our RFP and contract language, for this particular contract. And then, if we decide we want to, expand this or have a larger discussion, obviously, if we were to do some of these things for, say, employees, that's a much larger discussion. And of course, there'd be HR and unions and things like that we would want to get involved. I think, in the essence of time, I would like to just keep it fairly narrow for this particular scope, so that we can actually, get this settled and get moving on this cleaning contract and get out of our, current temporary, arrangements right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess I'm more so thinking that there have been instances, and this might be one of them, where a few years from now, folks might wonder what was the rationale behind this, and if there was some way to memorialize that in writing so that we can, those folks who follow in our footsteps have some idea that this wasn't just some completely arbitrary and capricious decision on our part, but there was a lot of thought that went into this.
Sure. I don't know if Chris or if Ann have any ideas on the best way to, I don't know if that could be in the journal notes for the commission, or I'm not sure the best way to do that, but I think it's a good idea, Dave. And we can sort of talk about it a little bit.
We don't have to figure this out right now. It's also at least to some well, in the case at hand, it's a procurement issue, and if our county auditor might have some thoughts in terms of how to articulate that and in his world.
Yeah, I was just, I agree with Jason. We're looking at this kind of narrowly right now, so it would be written into the RFP that we sent out, and then written into the contract with whoever the contractor is. If we look at doing more background checks in the future, whether it's for this CGIS information or otherwise, it might be a more, whether it's for contractors or employees or what have you. I think that's a more, it is a much bigger discussion, definitely. I also would like to someday maybe bring that discussion about what we should contract out and what we should bring in-house. Certain things obviously are better to contract, and some things might be better to bring in-house and do internally as county employees. I only bring that up because of Tuesday and some of the actions that I know the plans that legislature and governor are talking about are relaxing the prevailing wage requirements for public contracts. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but they're certainly discussing it. And so right now, a contractor like this cleaning crew, they get a prevailing wage with a public contract. They have to be paid a prevailing wage by state statute. If that statute goes away, then they will be paid a lot less. And in fact, these cleaning crew members, if they don't pass their background check and are so clean in other areas outside the county, that'll affect their pay. They won't be paid as much because of these prevailing wage requirements. So that's just another thing to kind of think about for the future.
Chris, did you have anything to, I saw you.
No, I had muted. I was just going to answer the question on how we document it for the future, but I agree that's not something we need to solve right this minute. But we'll certainly work on how we memorialize it.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good work.
Thank you. I'm glad to be done with it, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay, 11 o'clock. Review board meetings and upcoming board meetings. Communication needs requests, COVID, upcoming events and invitations. Okay.
We're done.
Thanks, everyone. We're done.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.